Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. In 2012, there was a horrific school shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. Just a terrible tragedy. But researchers were able to study the survivors, the children who were put through that terrible and awful tragedy. And in fact, we learned an awful lot about what happens to children when they have to face trauma. And there's a new concept in psychology that's called an ACE. An ACE stands for an adverse childhood event. And the researchers talk about every time a child has such an event, it's worth 1 point. And most interestingly, when children have several or many of these events in a lifetime, they add up to a lot of issues, especially with depression, anxiety, and addiction. Now, what exactly constitutes an ACE? Well, a physically abusive event in the home that the child is either the recipient of or witnesses, sexual abuse, a parent being arrested, a drunken scene where people are yelling and screaming. I mean, pretty much anything that terrifies a child or brings a child to a place where they feel very unsafe and at risk to lose their lives. So, according to the researchers, there's some really interesting findings. First of all, if a child has 6 or more ACEs before they're 18 years old, when compared to children who have 0, they have a 144 times greater chance of sticking a needle into their arms, meaning using opioids like heroin. Also, according to a former president of the American Psychiatric Association, he said, let me put it this way. He said, trauma is to addiction as smoking is to cancer. What does that mean? As you expose a child to traumatic things, that greatly increases his chances or her chances to become addicted to a substance of some type. Now that's a lot of bad news. If there's good news, first of all, it's that we understand how bad and how risky it is to have children exposed to trauma. But the second bit of good news is that children can learn to overcome their traumatic experiences with a little bit of help. They can face what happened to them. They can learn to champion what happened to them and to put it away. And when children champion their trauma, the effects of those ACEs are much more reduced, if not nullified.